We're going to be talking about length in the metric system today. So we know that there are two different forms of units or measurements. So there's the English or standard system, which is what we use in the United States. So like inches, feet, yards, miles, those are all standard or English. Now in science, we do not use the English or standard system. We use the metric system. And we know this. We know that we use meters, kilometers, millimeters, centimeters, all of those that are in the metric system. And you can kind of see down here how a yardstick and a meter stick are different. So on a yardstick, it goes by inches, and on a meter stick, it goes by centimeters. So when you are comparing the two, or when you're finding the distance of an object, make sure that you're on the meter stick and not the yardstick. So 1 yard equals 0.9444 meters. So a yard is not exactly a meter. So when we say a meter stick, it is just slightly larger than a yardstick. In our classroom, we have yardsticks. So it is going to be just a little shy of exactly a meter. And you can see over here when you compare the inch to the centimeter, 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So a centimeter is a little bit larger than an actual inch. Now the base unit of a meter is, or the base unit of distance is a meter, which is symbolized by a lowercase m. Now the standard for distance, we've talked about the standard for mass. You know, it was that cylinder in France. Well, the standard for distance is light that travels in a vacuum, and then it's at a constant speed. And so we're able to tell the exact distance of light, and that's how we're going to find an exact meter in the metric system. Now, down here on the bottom, it says which is larger. We know that we can convert those units using the ladder system. So if we look at the 105 centimeters and compare it to a meter, we could just move our decimal from the end of the 105, so it would be after the 5. We can move it 2 places to meter, and it would become 1.05 centimeters, which is larger than a meter. On B, we have 4 kilometers, or 4,400 meters. And we know that we would move our decimal from the very end, since it is a whole number, 3 places to the left to make it 4.4 meters, so it would be larger. On C, we have 12 centimeters or 102 millimeters. We can convert by just moving the decimal 1 place to the left in millimeters to get 10.2, which is smaller than 12. And then on D, we can convert millimeters to meters. The decimal's at the end, it's a whole number. We move it 3 places to the left, so we get 1.2 meters now, no longer millimeters, and we compare it to 1 meter. So the 1,200 millimeters is larger than the meter. So we know that we can convert in the metric system, but just being able to memorize the fractions, it becomes a lot easier than just constantly having to move that decimal. So we know that there are 10 millimeters per 1 centimeter. So those little hash marks on the yardstick on the meter side, those small tick marks are millimeters, and the larger tick marks that actually have numbers are centimeters. So it says, what is the length of the line in centimeters? So we look down at that blue line, and we see that it is past 2, but not quite to 3. So we actually have to start counting our tick marks. So we can see that the one that's in the middle of 2 and 3 is actually 2.5. And then we're going to count over 5, 6, 7, 8. So the line is 2.8 centimeters. Now, if we were to count in millimeters, we could count every single little tick mark. Or we could just move our decimal place 1, and instead of having 2.5, we could have 25. So the line is 25 millimeters. The next question says, what is the length of the line to the nearest centimeter? So here we are rounding. Now, we know that we are going to normally round to the 100th place in this classroom, but because we only have to the 10th place, we have 2.5 centimeters, so we're trying to round to the nearest whole number. We know that with 5 or up, you have to round the whole number up, and then 4 or down, you have to keep it the same. So because it's 2.5, your answer is going to be 2 centimeters. I'm sorry. No, I apologize. It is 3 centimeters, not 2. We are rounding up to 3. So there's the hint. Round to the nearest centimeter, no decimals. So your nearest centimeter is 3 centimeters. Okay, so now you are going to complete the length activity. There are 3 stations. The first station is called the paper plate disc. You are going to throw the paper plate like a frisbee. Keep in mind that the classroom is small and you only have a small area to throw it. So you are going to stand on the blue line and you are going to frisbee disc your paper plate towards the wall with the computers. And then you're going to take your meter or your yardstick, but on the metric side, and you're going to find the distance from the starting line to where your plate landed. The second station is a cotton ball shot put. So you're going to stand on the line and you're going to throw your cotton ball as far as you can past the line, and then you're going to use your stick to measure the distance. The third station is the paper straw javelin. So you're going to stand on the line and you're going to take your paper straw and you're going to throw it, and then you're going to take your stick and you're going to measure the distance from the starting line to where your straw landed. And you want to measure from the end of the straw. So those are the 3 stations. Now I have stations A, B, and C. Those will rotate together. And then I have stations 1, 2, and 3, and those will rotate together. If you start in a number, you need to stay in numbers. If you start in a letter, you need to stay in letters. Do not rotate outside of your 3 groups. If you start at A, then you go to B. Then you would go to C. Then C would go to A. For the numbers, 1 would go to 2, 2 would go to 3, 3 goes to 1. You're only going to have a short amount of time in class to do this. So you need to make sure that everybody gets a turn. One person needs to do all 3 of their trials. And then they need to step back and let the second person do all 3 of their trials. Then the third person do all 3 of their trials, and so on. Then you're going to find the average. Now, yesterday, I saw that some of us kind of struggle with finding the average. So to find the average, you have to add up all 3 trials, then click enter, then divide by 3 because you did 3 trials. And then that is your average. The average should be very similar to what all 3 of your trials look like. And if you have any questions, you can ask Miss Bonds.